Have you noticed how, in the most ordinary moments, checking the clock before leaving home, deciding to call a friend, accepting a challenge at work, you trust that something will happen, trusting that traffic will flow, that your payment will come through, that your child will get home safely? All of this is faith in action. Faith doesn't live only in temples or sacred books. It inhabits the simplest decisions. It is the basic confidence that tomorrow exists, the silent assumption that life continues. Welcome to the channel A Voz da Fé. What is this confidence that guides daily life? Before anything else, we need to understand that faith is not just one thing. Throughout history, different eras and fields have defined it differently, as vital impulse, as an existential leap, as practical hope, as social bond. Understanding this helps us realize why cultivating healthy beliefs impacts quality of life. They shape habits, influence resilience, and define priorities. What you are about to hear may transform the way you view your small daily decisions. Faith and the brain. What neuroscience reveals, neurological research shows that beliefs, religious or not, activate brain circuits tied to reward, emotional regulation, and decision-making. Neurotransmitters like dopamine help generate motivation. Oxytocin strengthens social bonds. Prefrontal areas shape confidence and planning. In practice, when you believe something is possible, your brain facilitates the behaviors that align with that belief. Persistence, focus, problem-solving. This is not magic, it is biology supporting action driven by meaning. Recent reviews highlight these connections between belief, emotion, and cognition. Mini pitch. The next point is one of the most practical, and it may change your routine starting today. Routine, ritual, and faith. How habits strengthen belief. Daily rituals. Meditating, praying, keeping a gratitude journal, planning your day, act as anchors that align mind and action. Behavioral psychologists explain that repetition strengthens the neural circuits of belief. What we repeat becomes easier for the brain to accept as possible reality. Writing down 3 things you're grateful for each morning shifts your attention toward resources and opportunities that would otherwise go unnoticed. Small physical practices, waking up early, light exercise, organizing your space, create the physical base for broader beliefs. A more orderly body supports a more confident mind. Historical origins. How faith emerged in early communities thousands of years ago. Early faith appeared as strategies to handle uncertainty, rituals for harvest, myths explaining natural phenomena, collective practices that strengthened group survival. Anthropologists note that traditional societies used narratives and rites to reduce anxiety about the unknown. Faith, therefore, had a pragmatic function, supporting collective action, coordinating effort, and giving meaning to loss. This ancestry explains why faith today still carries a deep social dimension. Believing together is more powerful than believing alone. Maybe you never realized that faith is also history and carries the strategies humanity used to survive. Faith across traditions, specific and practical perspectives. Instead of generalizing, let's explore faith within different cultures to see how each shapes daily practice. Indigenous traditions, e.g., Amazonian peoples, Native Americans. Faith is inseparable from the environment. Belief is embodied in land, cycles, ancestors, and daily ritual. African and Afro-diasporic traditions. Faith is communal and ritualistic. Songs, ceremonies, and collective memory fuel resilience and healing. Monastic and contemplative traditions. Christian, Buddhist, Taoist. Faith grows through discipline, silence, meditation, fasting, service. Secular or humanistic faith, trust in science, justice, human rights, becomes ethical commitment and civic practice. Popular urban devotional traditions, everyday gestures, lighting candles, community prayer, strengthen emotional support and belonging. All of these share one truth. Faith becomes strongest when lived as practice, not just idea. Maybe you recognize yourself in one of these and never realized that this too is faith. Faith and resilience. What research shows studies on spirituality and mental health reveal positive associations between spiritual practices and emotional well-being when used constructively. People with spiritual resources tend to have stronger social support and better coping strategies. But researchers warn, faith can be harmful if rigid or isolating. Beneficial faith is tied to openness, community, and purpose. Dogmatism weakens resilience. Practical routines to integrate faith into daily life. Here are evidence-based habits to strengthen practical faith. Short morning ritual, breathing, plus intention, plus affirmation. Learning journal, note, a mistake, and the lesson. Accountability partner or group. Controlled exposure to new challenges. Relational gratitude. Intentional silence. 10-15 minutes daily. Even adopting 2 or 3 already produces change. Try one today and watch how it shifts your mood and your decisions. Life examples, stories that illuminate daily faith in touching the void. Joe Simpson describes surviving a near-fatal accident by relying on one belief. Take one more step. Faith sometimes becomes this small, repeating one action until the impossible becomes possible. Urban stories echo this, people rebuilding lives after loss by holding on to a tiny seed of belief paired with daily effort. Faith, doubt, and growth, an essential dynamic. Faith is not the absence of doubt, it's living alongside it. Healthy doubt refines beliefs, paralyzing doubt halts growth. The key is acting according to values even while imperfectly believing. Maybe the faith you need is not one without doubt, but one that moves despite it. Faith and ethics, how belief shapes moral choices. Practical faith influences everyday behavior. Honesty, responsibility, care, community involvement. These small acts build trust and meaning, faith and purpose, finding direction. Existential psychology shows that having a purpose stabilizes emotions. Viktor Frankl taught that meaning gives strength to endure adversity. For many, purpose and faith walk hand in hand. When faith harms, necessary cautions, faith becomes dangerous when it leads to exclusion, guilt, or denial of necessary help. Responsible faith requires dialogue, humility, and willingness to adapt. The faith that builds is the faith that also corrects itself. Odbun, personal evaluation, how to know if your faith helps or hinders. Ask yourself, does my faith help me care for myself and others? Does it make me more teachable? Does it inspire responsibility or excuse irresponsibility? A 30-day plan to transform your relationship with faith. Days 1-7, morning ritual, plus gratitude journal. Days 8-14, daily act of generosity. Days 15-21, one small safe risk. Days 22-28, replace limiting beliefs. Days 29-30, plan a 3-month project. Try it and watch your daily life transform. Faith as the daily art of living in the end. Faith is a skill, practiced, refined, and embodied. It's discipline, perception, generosity, courage. It shows up in the big convictions and the tiny moments. If life is a field of uncertainty, faith is the craft of walking through it with purpose. If this message touched you, try a small faith practice today. Test the morning ritual or the gratitude journal for 1 week and observe what changes. If this video touched your heart, subscribe to A Voz de Fe, hit like, turn on notifications, and share it with someone who needs this message. Thank you for walking with us. See you in the next video.